I am here. Give us a few moments. We're having a slight technical difficulty, but we should have our guest on really quickly and soon because I am excited to have her on so she can tell her story on how to refocus when you're all of a sudden faced with your job telling you they no longer need your services. Now, as many of us have heard this before, and some may have never heard this before, but if you should hear that, what do you do? How do you bounce back from getting some kind of news like that? So we're going to talk about that on today. And let me go ahead and do my quick intro for those of you all who do not know me. I am Nicolette Barrett. I am considered your virtual career coach. I'm a CEO of iRock Development Solutions, and I do business as iRock Resumes. And what I love to do is make sure that I am telling your career story so that others will say, yes, I can visualize that person in this role. I like to talk to them more. And once you land that actual interview, I even help you rock out what you're going to say using my award-winning iRock Star method. And I love helping you all land the job of your dreams and creating the career that rocks. So once you land that job, I don't leave you right there. I continue on and coach you on how to elevate to that next level, land those awesome kind of projects or what have you. So that's what I do. And I love doing it. And I love the new format of our show. As you all have seen me down through the years doing all kinds of live streams. This year, I decided to do something different. I wanted to talk with people about their careers, whether it's challenges, successes, strategies, or what have you. And just to make sure that, hey, Kim, just to make sure that you all, I hope you all can hear me. Did y'all hear me? Because I just noticed my mic wasn't on, but I was probably using the other mic. But anyway, I want to make sure that you all know from the perspective of those who are in roles like yours and to talk about the strategies, the challenges, the wins, the losses, and how to bounce back from those things. And it's almost like a job shadowing type of thing. So how do you even get interested in that type of role? So we're going to have a candid conversation about the career, about Renee's career and how she actually bounced back from a challenging situation. Made it. Hey, Donna, I'm so glad you're here, girl. Miss Donna. You know we got our girl Renee on here. Okay, so yes, I'm so glad to have everyone. Kim says greeting from Chicago. I want to make sure I say hello to everybody before hey, Kim. I'm so glad to be with you all. In, I think it's April, I'm coming to speak to the 100 Coalition of Black Women. Is that correct? I think that's what I'm going to be doing. So I know you talked to Tammy. I'm looking excited for that. And Donna's here. She made it to listen. So I am going to go to my quick commercial and then I will be back. And as I always ask you all to do is to please share the broadcast with your audience and bring them on, because the more people that listen, the more visibility the actual broadcast will get. And also it will elevate in the ranking. So I want you all to like it, send me some love, give me comments and all that kind of stuff. Oh, Kim said, yes. Yep, Kim, I cannot wait. So thank you so much for that opportunity. And one day, I got to get you on here, Kim. So you better fill out my application. So I can get you on here so we can talk about the wonderful love story of one of my best friends in high school. So yes, and if you are interested in becoming getting on iRock TV as a guest, where we have real talk about real careers and real results, go to my website, iRockResumes.com. Right at the top, it will say be a guest on iRock TV. Fill out that information and you can get the ball rolling and book your opportunity to get on the show. And we can talk. Let's talk about what you need to do. All right. So I'm going to go over. She said, yeah, okay. Yes, girl. Yes, we got to talk about it. Okay. So I am going to go here and do my commercial. And then I will bring on my very special guest, one of my dearest friends, Renee Taylor. I am back and I am so happy to have her today. Hi, Renee. Just to let you know, we had a couple of technical difficulties, but now she is on, and I'm so excited to have her as my special guest. And again, you all take a moment to share the broadcast as I bring up everything that I need to bring up here, because we've got a little late start. But share the broadcast with your audience, please, so we can have more people on to hear this good conversation, because Renee is going to tell you her story on what happened to her just last year, just all of a sudden. And that's one of the things that we're going to talk about, because you never know when something's going to hit you blindsided. And then you got to have a plan on what you're going to do. Yes. And we're going to talk from all the emotional part of it to where she is today and how she landed. Jimmy's give me one moment. And let me see. I got my questionnaire up here. Let me see and make sure I got everything. All right. And okay, so without further ado, instead of me finding everything, I'm going to let Renee introduce herself and tell you a little bit about her before we dig in. Go ahead, Renee.
Hello, everyone. I'm so glad to have this opportunity to just be here to speak to you about my career journey and who I am. My career started in the insurance industry several years ago, and I've been fortunate enough to have several roles in that industry. And I guess the other thing I would say is I'm a single parent. I have a son that matriculated from Tuskegee University, and it's been a long, hard journey being a single parent and trying to raise a child in difficult times and going to school full time. I not only earned my Bachelor of Science, but I also earned my master's while working full time and raising my son on my own. So it's been a real interesting journey. But I would say that most of my career has been in one industry, but I have learned a lot in that one industry and what I need to do. And I'm hoping I'm able to share some of my tips with you today. Thank you for having me on the show, Gillette.
Yes. And I love the fact that you brought in the aspect of, being a single parent, because there are single parents on here. And you know what, even with us thinking about the single parenting at this point, working from home with children, I think is that dual parenting that's happening as well. So this is like prime opportunity to talk about that. So when I think about, my first question about, for you, Renee, is what is the one thing you wish you had known before you even began your career? Think back when you graduated from college with your Bachelor's of Science, just excited about that opportunity. What would you have done differently at the beginning of your career for some of our entry-level folks that are out there listening as well?
I really wish that I had had better skills when it came to networking. I figured that, in order for me to grow my career, to get the promotions, to get the recognition, that all it took was hard work. And that's you can work as hard as you want and still not get recognized. People will just keep you in that seat. If I had learned the art of networking, I would have gotten so much further along in my career and even probably ventured out to other opportunities out there.
Oh, wow. Because that's really important, especially with this virtual world that we're in. Networking is key. And one of the things that I noticed when I first started iRock, I had to get out of my comfort zone. In order for me to get iRock out there and known, I couldn't just rely on the people I knew. I really had to learn how to network and meet other people. So when you say that, Renee, what in networking have you benefited from thus far, based on, you doing it at a later point in your career?
So the benefit that I got was not only reaching out in my own industry, my own organization, but outside of it, not being afraid to connect with people on LinkedIn, attending different meetings that maybe people may have, setting up meetings with various folks that are, maybe CEOs or vice presidents, or just recruiters, for example. Which was huge. I recently hooked up with a recruiter on LinkedIn, and that was valuable because she got me into another group where I met another set of ladies, where we meet almost every month for coffee, on Saturdays and talk about various things. So networking is not only within your organization, but even outside in the community. You never know who you come across outside of your community that may have a connection for you.
Now you got to tell us about that bold move on how you connected with that VP. You left out a good point. Networking. Let's hear it.
So recently, I was let go. I was laid off from a job. I didn't see that coming, but I was ready for it. Okay, and what I started to do was on LinkedIn was follow the companies I was putting in applications for, and by doing that, I was able to network with various vice presidents of companies, and by reaching out to them, they were able to get to know me. And just being able to just have a quick conversation, even if it was just through the LinkedIn app, just saying hello and what they do. Most recently, one of the recruiters that I ended up speaking with happened to be at the company I'm working now. And it's so funny, she used to work at a previous organization that I worked at. So it's just about just reaching out to those companies. If you are applying for various jobs, reach out to them and they'll reach back, and you can introduce yourself to them. And that's the way to go ahead and do that as far as networking is concerned.
Okay. Now I'll need timeline.
Okay.
With the day that you heard to the day you got employed.
Mm-hmm. So my timeline from the time that I got laid off from my job until the time I was hired, it was 2 weeks.
Yes, and I see you leaving out the good juicy part, and that's because you jumped on it. You knew when you start hearing rumblings, praying that it was not going to be you, because I remember we talked through that, and we were like, you know what? No, there's not a chance. Your results are off the chain. There's change. There's no way in the world they can let you go. And again, you're still being bashful. You were a manager of managers. You need to tell what you did, okay? You did leader, so you're just being too bashful. So with the results that you've gotten so quickly in that role, we were just for sure, but it didn't happen that way. So let's talk about the emotional part of that.
So, and you make up a good point. And I've always been bashful about what I did, and what I was doing. A dream job managing managers. And I was driving a lot of results, and I was able to accomplish certain things that I interviewed about, when I landed that job. And so the one thing you and I talked about is, as soon as the company talked about layoffs, I reached out to you and I said, I need to update my resume. I'm going to get you my results. I need to update my resume. I want to be ready for anything, because in the past, I never had a plan B. And I think that it's so important to have a plan B. And then you have to figure out, okay, so now if this does happen, what type of job am I going to go for? Am I going to go for the next level? Am I going to go for a job that's maybe, below where I was before, or the same type of job? So you got to figure all of that out. And I didn't know what was going to happen. I was scared. I'm not gonna lie, I was scared. It was a scary situation. I've never been laid off in my life, but I had to manage that. And on top of that, I was just recovering from major surgery.
Yep, I remember.
Yeah. So I had to bounce back pretty quickly so I could be ready to interview, because I couldn't come out there and act like I'm tired. I wasn't feeling well. I was hurting. I had to interview. I had to get on it. The other thing that I kept in mind, you talk about the emotional aspect. We got a lot going on in the world right now. I don't care if it's politics. I don't care if it's the pandemic. There's a lot going on. So the one thing that I made sure that I did was I was managing my finances throughout the entire pandemic. When you are in any type of career, I don't care what it is, you also have to look at your personal life. And look at what's going on in the outside world. Be ready for anything. And that was one thing that I did. So when I did get laid off, I knew where my budget was. I didn't create any extra expenses for myself. But I'm not gonna lie, it was scary. It was a scary situation. But I tried to maintain as much as I could as far as working out, because I just finished surgery. Eating healthy, that was key. And of course, I had the best career strategist in the world, so, which was you.
Yeah.
I wasn't worried on that front, but what I was concerned about was my age.
Yeah. Oh, see, that's another dynamic. But before we get to that, we're going to hang our hat on that. And I
Okay.
love the fact that, just like Kim said, preparation was key for you, because what I have found when people come to me with their hair on fire saying that I need something now is because they've waited too late. And I always say it's better to have it and not need it than to need it and not have it. Now, you and I have been working together for years.
Yeah.
And one of the wonderful things about the initial investment in your career development plan was that you had it. So all you had to do is come back and tweak it,
Right.
add in your new results, give it a facelift, and then get out there. And being able to do that and implement that, your plan B for your strategy allowed you to close that gap of unemployment.
Yes.
I mean, down to 2 weeks. I mean, for one thing, I was just floored that, not shouldn't be floored. I'm always still surprised when the resumes and LinkedIn that I write land interviews like that. So you were getting hit up all the time,
Yes.
but then being able to do it, even while you were sick, even while you were going through the emotion of, I can't believe I did all these results. And they laid even me off, because that's what I find a lot too, because even I just had a commercial real estate banker VP level, because she did phenomenal in her job. And she was also devastated, like, you laid me off? And how do you get over that kind of thing? And so I love the fact that you kept working out, you got your finances straight and everything. Yes, we're going to all cry because you're like, no, not me. And then you just have to redo it. So now let's talk about the age dynamic.
Yes.
Okay. Because you've been a career professional for many years. We don't have to talk about the number, but just for our people that are out there who feel like, you know what, I don't know what I'm going to do because I'm scared of my age. What would you say to them?
So it starts with your interpersonal life. Yeah. You have to take care of you. If you, and I even tell my son this, if you don't take care of who you are, employers will see that. Your employer will see that, to the point where you may not even get a promotion at your job. So I always try now, I slip every once in a while, but I try to do the best that I can to take care of my health, whether it be eating right, working out, and just mental focus, reading health books, doing what I need to do, meditation, anything I need to do to make sure that I am healthy and I'm taking care of me. Now, I'm not going to say I'm perfect, because I'm not. I have moments, and when I need to have my moments, I have those moments, but it's a time you got to bounce back. You have to, so because of my age, I didn't want to be counted out. I didn't want people to think that I was just going to get a job and then retire 2 years later. I'm healthy. I have no concern as far as my health is with my health. I want to continue to work. I love working. I love what I do. So I just, in order to do that, you got to have that balance. Everybody talks about work-life balance. I call it work-life harmony, because if they're not in sync right here, you can forget it, because everybody's balance is different, right? So.
And I love that, because even age is really nothing but a number. It's how you feel inside and how you come across. Correct. And even how you present yourself. So if I don't care how much I loved my big hair in the 80s, I had to let it go. I mean, no matter how I wanted to, still, I'll probably wear some of the same clothes because they look so good on me. I had to let them go. So you have to think about, how do you modernize yourself? I'm not trying to look 21 or anything like that, but how do you modernize yourself from a health perspective and also from a presentation perspective, so people can see your energy, your how engaged you are, even at this age. And I always tell you, you only look 35. I said, baby girl, you are gorgeous. I tell you that all the time.
Well, it's so funny you should talk about energy, because when I interviewed for the job that I had now, I was high energy. And I actually had to do a presentation. And the presentation that I did was on how to build a home gym in limited space. So once again, getting into that health type thing, seeing that I was still connected to, my well-being and having that energy and coming across in a virtual environment. Because that's the other thing you have to be ready for is the interview in a virtual environment. And you have got to come across strong.
Yes. Yep. And that's a whole nother topic because it is very key because it's a new dynamic that people are still getting used to, but you have to be able to present your best self. But now let's get into something that I want to talk about as far as failures, because a lot of times we get bashful and not talk about our failures. But what is your biggest failure that you've had and what did you learn from it?
So my biggest failure was staying loyal to a company that was not loyal to me. And I stayed loyal to this company for years. And it was all out of fear because there I was a single parent. I was afraid to venture out and see what else was out there for me. And it didn't matter what I did. I just wasn't getting where I wanted to be in my career. This was not just a job. This was a career for me. And it didn't matter what I did. I was not going to get there. So even though I had that failure, out of that failure did come a success. I used the building blocks and everything that I learned during my years in that organization to get to where I am today. But I would tell anybody, never be afraid to venture out, ever.
And just to go out and see what your worth is. It's not to say that you have to leave the organization, because one of the things I'll never forget, my boss told me a while ago when there was a lot of opportunities internal, he said, hey, when you go interview, just know you still got a job. I said, I never thought about it that way. That was Alan. Alan said that, Alan told me that. I said, you know what, Alan, I never thought about it that way. And I said, you're right. I'll just go interview. And the fact is, if I get it, I get it. If I don't, I don't. I still have a job. And so, but you have to go out there and see what it is out there for you. So I liked how you were able to turn that into a positive. So what advice would you give someone wanting to pursue a career similar to yours? Now, I'm going to go from not necessarily what you've done in the past. I want you to tell them where you landed and why you chose this new career.
So right now I am working with a wonderful organization called Core Logic. And I am doing something that I just love to do, which is I am a professional client trainer. And I just love facilitating. It is a passion of mine. I discovered that earlier on in my career when I was working for a different organization. I just love training people and just seeing the light bulb coming off. And the job that I have right now is just an awesome job. I could not be happier. And the reason why I chose it was because of the organization. They stood for a lot of things that I like. They talk about, the engagement, employee engagement, and, clients first, and just their value and everything that they had to offer was just phenomenal. And it allowed me to flex my creative muscle again, get into that facilitation, field, and not being afraid to venture out and do that when I know that in that type of in a teaching environment, sometimes people are different. They come with a different skill set, but not being afraid to say, you know what, I'm going to go venture back into my little box of knowledge, and I'm going to use that knowledge for this job. And that's what happened here. Because of my knowledge, when I worked in the insurance industry and worked in homeowners, that's the knowledge I'm using today for this job. And I love it. I mean, I couldn't be happier.
And that's how we met. We were instructors, corporate instructors, and we met, and we've been connected ever since.
Exactly.
Yes, that's how we met at the organization. We met as brand new corporate instructors, teaching brand new claim representatives and claim. At that time, they were called CPs, claim processors. The ropes, and not only just the actual job itself, but also the cultural aspect and how to, develop themselves. And we can gain some great mentees from that and relationships from that as well. So I want to talk about the strategy because, because of your skill set, I was trying to get you that director VP job.
Exactly.
Right? And you called me up. You said, you know what? I think I'm about to get this job. But to be honest, I don't think I want it. Let's go back and to have that conversation. Go back. Tell what happened.
So when I ended up getting the interview for CoreLogic, and I called Nicolette up, and I was like, I don't even know why I put in for this position. I wasn't sure about it, And then I went back and I looked at the job description. I'm like, oh, okay, I know why I put in for this. Because what happened was I was putting in for so many different positions. I didn't know whether I was coming or going. And that's a whole nother story. You got to keep track of what you're doing. But
Yes.
it's just, do I really want to do this facilitation? And am I selling myself short? Having been a leader of leaders, and then I realized I could still be a leader. I could still be a leader as a facilitator. I can still be a leader on my team. And that's exactly what I'm doing now, is using my leadership skills to be able to build relationships with the people on my team, to build relationships with the leadership there. So I hope I answered your question.
Yeah, and you actually turned down something. You pulled yourself out.
I did.
Yes, that's the one I was talking about because that was a leader of leaders. But you said what? Go ahead.
And I decided that that's not what I wanted to do anymore. I made a decision. I had filled that role. I had been a leader of leaders. I had great results. There was nothing more for me to prove in that position. I'm at a point in my life right now where I want to be happy. I want to be able to just do me. I don't want to have to be responsible for anybody else. Now, that's not to say that, there's not going to be responsibility in my new job, but it's a different type of responsibility. And I still have that freedom to live.
Yes. And see, that's what I was getting at. Just because you have been a leader for so many years, because we can count years, you have all that experience, you don't always have to still do that, because we talked about when you were about to get that offer, you said, I think they're going to offer me that job, but I have to really be honest with myself. Do I want that level of stress? Sometimes being a leader of leaders is a whole new level of stress. Do I want to be responsible for people at this stage in my life? What do I really want? And that's what we talk about when I have that coined phrase of landing your dream job. It doesn't mean that you have to always be in leadership, nor does it always have to mean that you have to make a 6-figure plus salary. It's about what feeds you. And when we went through that conversation, you decided to pull out.
I did. Yeah. And not only that, I would have spent more time on the road going back and forth than anything else.
Quality of life, right?
Quality of life. That's where it's at. Especially looking at what's going on around us. It's got to be about quality of life for me right now. So,
and I love that, because you thinking through that process, we coaching through that process and everything, talking through it, weighing the pros and cons, and look at it from different perspectives. After we got through with our coaching session, I said, well, you know what, based on, because you had to prove to me, I know your value. I know it. And so, we had to walk through that. And you convinced me based on all of that. I said, yep, let's go back to the core. Let's land your dream job. I said, Renee, go for it. Go ahead. And you said, well, what do I say? I said, say this. So I typed up everything. I said, send this. And you pulled out gracefully, but you also kept that relationship, which is also key. And, and everything. And then, what, Renee, if I know you, and I know you very well, they're probably going to tap you on the shoulder for leadership eventually in this role too. Because I just see how you're already making an impact and only been on the job for a couple of weeks, and all the joy that you're bringing to that role is going to happen again. And then again, it'll be your choice. But I want our audience to understand you don't always have to look at the title of the role. You don't always have to look at the finances of the role because it's all about what feeds your soul, what makes you happy. Just not being on the roll, that sense of peace right there all the time, you know? So
Right.
I love the whole process that we went through to get to that actual last perspective. And I want people to understand that they have to walk through it and not make snap decisions because you think everybody else think that you need to do that. But what is it for you? And having somebody to come alongside you and partner with you to do that has been key. So I love, love, love that.
Well, you know what, to your point, Nicolette, it's also important that, you know, we talk about pay, you know, and like I said, I had already started looking at my finances, making sure I was staying on budget, you know, and then you have to look at the entire compensation. You know, so when you look at the entire compensation of what the company has to offer, I'm not losing anything. You know, I'm not going to make it what I'm making in senior leadership, but that's a different role. And I also tell people when you're interviewing for different roles, keep that in mind. Don't price yourself. Because even though you were in senior leadership, if you're going for like the job I have now as a trainer, that's a different level. So you have to be okay with that. You have to be at peace with that. But look at everything that they offer. I love the job I have right now. It's been almost a month since I've been there, and it is just, I couldn't be happier.
Yeah.
Could not be happier. I landed my dream job.
Now let's talk about the trainer role. So back to my other question, you know, landing a role like that, what does a day in the life of a trainer look like?
So right now, of course, I'm still in the training process, just learning learning what I'm going to be teaching the clients. However, a day in the role, what I'm doing right now, it's getting to know my teammates. We still have new trainers that are coming on board. That we're partnering up and have mentors that are assigned to us. Learning the application that I'm going to be teaching. So learning how to use that because it's a little different than what I'm used to, and going back and digging into my knowledge set, you know, the skills that I built up over the years and how to, you know, diagram a home and how to diagram a roof, and just showing my leadership skills when we have meetings. You know, when we're doing certain things on calls, you know, utilizing Teams and just reaching out to my peers, because we're all starting at different levels. And I also have peers that are in Canada. So, you know, with the company's also international. And funny story, I didn't realize that when I interviewed, and if I can, that one of the people that was on my interview happened to be one of the executives. So you never know who's going to be on there, right? So it's a phenomenal position. I can't wait to start doing the facilitation. That's going to happen fairly quickly, you know. But just the way we all mesh as a team and how we're helping one another out, because what was so interesting about who they hired all of us for different skill sets.
Love that.
Interesting, because everybody is a subject matter expert, either in development, either in knowledge, insurance knowledge. Some have no insurance knowledge at all, but they have, you know, they know how to put curriculum together. They learn learning development, startup companies. So they all bring a different skill set, you know, different languages that they speak. You know, some are trilingual, quadlingual, you know, which they need. So it is really, really smart hiring on their part, which was something else that I learned. So like I said, I couldn't be happier. And even though we're virtual, I still feel connected to my team.
See, and that's the culture of the organization.
Yes.
Now when you say CoreLogic, tell us what CoreLogic does, and when you say clients, who are your clients? Who do you serve?
So that's a great question. So our clients are like contractors, because I'm in the insurance part of CoreLogic, because they have various other parts of CoreLogic. They deal with mortgage companies. They help insurance companies, mortgage banks, realtors manage their business and make smart decisions for their clients, for their customers. They were a startup company that ended up getting bought out. You know, we manage a lot of data. And so a lot of what they do is very, you got to sign confidentiality agreements. you know.
Okay.
But I'm in the insurance part of it. So one of our clients is it one of the major insurance companies, and we'll be training them on an application for them to use when they
See.
go out scoping
Interesting.
damages for for either fire, catastrophe services, water damage, anything like that. So
Oh, Renee, you just opened up a whole lot of other questions. I can probably talk to you for like 50 hours. Okay, so this is what I want my audience to actually take away from this:
mhm.
transferable skills and competencies, right?
Yes,
Being a subject matter expert in your area
yes,
and looking outside the box for companies that will hire you for your skill set. Now, it
right.
was easy for you to go and get employed by another major insurer, but
Mhm.
you saw something else, and being able to think of outside the box of what you wanted your career to look like
Mhm.
led you to say, "Oh, I wouldn't mind being a trainer again," and just submit for it. Not
Right.
knowing where it would lead, but thinking about transferable skills, because I talk about that a lot with my
Mhm.
clients, is basically saying, okay, well, what else can you do? Stop being narrow. And I have to tell you a success story. I think I'm gonna try to get her on shortly too. I was working with this young lady, and she unfortunately was laid off with the big Marriott. I think people have heard Marriott is laying off massive amount
Right.
of people. And in talking with her, she did. I make them, made her do the self assessment because she had no idea what she's going to do for the rest of her life. She's like, I don't know. This is all I've ever known. So in the assessment, I said, you know what? You have all of the skill set to actually be a claim adjuster and to be in a claims role, the analytical skills and the customer service skills and all of this kind of stuff. I said, then she said, you know what? My very good friend father is a VP at a major insurer. I never thought about it.
Mhm.
She emailed me, took my advice, and she said now she's part of their new trainer program that
Okay.
she's going to be working with that insurer and using her analytical skills and her and her customer service. She said, "Thank you for opening up her mindset to even think about that." And that's what it's about. What do you do? What can you do with your
Mhm.
skill set? So I love that you were able to show that you're working in the insurance part of this organization
Yes.
because you had that skill set and you were in that your area of claims, and now you're bringing that back, and you mentioned it with that to your training
Exactly.
facilitation.
Exactly. And it goes back to what I was talking about before, using those building blocks during your career journey, and land that dream job. The other thing that I did on LinkedIn, I was taking LinkedIn courses. You got to
Yes,
be a learner. You
yes,
can't always wait for your organization to give you the knowledge that you need to
that's
develop
what
you.
I
You
thought.
got to develop yourself. You can't stop developing. You always have to develop. Take whatever courses that are out there, share them on LinkedIn and learn how to work LinkedIn. And that's probably another another show, but definitely learn how to work LinkedIn. That was the key to me. You interview for a company or you apply for a company, start following the company on LinkedIn, and see what they're doing. Those are key things that you can do in order to, land that dream job. And if you invest in yourself, the best investment that I did was hiring you. And I always tell you that, even when I just had meetings with executives, what did I
Mm-hmm.
do? I said, Nicolette, I need to set up a conference with you.
Yep.
You have got to invest in yourself. If
Yep.
you don't invest in yourself, no organization is going to invest in you.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't matter how good you are. You have to invest in yourself. You
Yep.
take your pennies, take your whatever you need, put that money aside, invest in yourself. You have got to have a career strategist.
Yep.
You have to. It
You
was
do.
the best thing that happened to me. I tell you this all the time. My confidence level is like off the chain now. And I was never there before. I was not there before.
Mm-hmm.
And it's all
Yeah.
because of what you provided me.
And I love that you said that, because one of my clients that I just recently posted out there that I gave her career branding, all her stuff, LinkedIn, everything. We did our quality assurance review on
Right.
a Friday. She applied on a Sunday, got
Mhm.
a call from an interviewer, a recruiter on Sunday,
See?
did the over the phone interview, and they passed her on all within hours.
See?
And she told me after
Mhm.
she took her investment, her husband gave her $225 to go buy an air fryer. She said, "No, sir, this money is going to Nicolette." She gave me her air fryer money. And she got on the payment plan and she paid. She said no. And Donna, if Donna's still on here, I have to thank Donna for throwing my name out there on the Facebook group, her sorority, to be able to get that. But I still laugh at that. So we talk about that. She said, no, I'm giving this to Nicolette because she knows she needed something else because the investment in herself was key in order for her to get where she is. And that basically answers my next question about the resources, because I love the fact that you kept continuously learning as well, because LinkedIn has a lot of different certification courses that you do. And I would say take advantage of what's in your organization, but don't be afraid to step outside as well. Would you agree?
I totally agree, because you don't know if you're going to end up in that same field. You don't know if you're going to end up in that same industry. And I would tell people, especially with what's going on with the pandemic, you have got to be knowledgeable about what's going on in every single industry out there. You know, what's changing, and you got to change with it. So definitely build your skill set and your knowledge.
Yep, I love that. So let's talk about this. So who are 2 to 3 people who have been the most influential to you?
So, of course, I just talked about you. I mean, I could not have done any of this without
I didn't pay her, y'all, so make sure.
And you know, I tell you that all the time. I tell you that all the time. You know, I mean, you have just been a godsend in my life and a blessing. You know, because of you, you allowed me, like you were saying in my intro, you know, well, you didn't talk about this, you didn't talk about that, because I don't like talking about myself. But you gave me that confidence to be able to go out there and not be afraid, because for so long I allowed people to tell me who I was, versus knowing who I am.
That's it.
And that's key. You got to know who you are and what you bring to the table. The other person I would say would be my mother. I watched my mom break down a ceiling, a glass ceiling at Pratt & Whitney. At Pratt & Whitney, which is an aerodynamic, facility down in West Palm Beach. And she was the very first African-American executive assistant.
Nice.
You know, and her boss was a lady by the name of Angie Negron. And Angie broke a glass ceiling as well. And my mother introduced me to her. And so there were times where I was able to mentor with her. But my mother was breaking those glass ceilings, and she would deal with people from the military and generals and whatnot, and just seeing what she did. So she definitely was a very strong influence in my life.
Yes. Oh, yes. Beautiful. And that's what makes the difference. And I applaud your mom for breaking down that ceiling, and even the other lady breaking down the ceiling. And thank you for the kudos to me. Again, like I said, y'all, I didn't pay her. Okay. Okay. So what is the one common myth about your profession or the field you want to debunk for our audience?
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about the field that I came from first. Okay. And I would say in the insurance industry, I think there are times that we take for granted that that's going to last forever, and it's going to be around forever. And I also would say that sometimes in the insurance industry, it can come across as a male dominated industry versus a female. And there are a lot of females that are breaking those barriers now and are getting into the higher roles, the VP roles, executive roles, you know, CEOs now. So I would say it would be that. Right now, because I'm just starting out with CoreLogic, I don't have anything, you know, that I would say I want to debunk. But what I would say is, just because you don't know an organization, get to know it. Because before I interviewed with CoreLogic, I had never heard of it, you know, and shame on me. You know, but definitely get to branch out. Just branch out. Don't be comfortable in your niche. Branch out, because you'll never know if some other organization, some other industry can utilize your skill set and your knowledge in their organization.
That's awesome. That's awesome. That's so wonderful to know, because being able to know an organization, investigate them, because you never know. And the same on the other side for insurance. People just think this the agent on the corner.
Exactly.
No, there's a big engine that runs the actual organization. So don't make assumptions. Learn about them.
Right.
Mhm.
And, you know what, and like you said about the, big engine in the insurance industry, that's how I got a lot of the skills that I had.
Yeah.
Because I was able to move around within, the claims department and learn wear various hats.
Mhm.
Don't
Even
ever
within that same department. Mhm.
Exactly. Don't be afraid to wear various hats.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're coming to the end of this interview. If you were in my shoes as an interviewer, what would you have asked yourself that I hadn't asked you?
And I knew you were going to ask me that question. Now I lost my train of thought. I can't remember what it was.
So what do you want? What are some parting words that you would love to share with our audience?
I would say, don't be afraid to really get to know what you bring to the table. Don't be afraid to take the negative feedback you may get from someone and use that to your advantage. Don't be afraid to sometimes take a lower position role than what you have. Don't be afraid to do you. Think about yourself first. Don't always think about the job, because if you're happy, guess what? Everything else is going to fall into place. So think about yourself first. Put yourself first and then branch out. Always, 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 always be ready for anything. Always have a plan B. You cannot just sit in a role and think that you're going to be in that role forever and nothing is going to happen.
I love that.
Plan B. And always keep a journal of your accomplishments. You got to have it so that if you need it, you can go back to it.
Yeah.
You also should keep a journal of what may have been some of your failures and how do you grow from that? And what resources can you go out and seek to be better at that? So.
Oh, I love that. I love that, Renee. Now, I want you to finish this sentence.
Okay.
When I say I rock, how do you rock? Say, I rock because.
I rock because I use every single building block that I have learned during my career and landed my dream job. I rock because I have the best career strategist.
Girl, this is a great
That's what I rock. And you know what? I'm happy. I am truly happy. We've got, like I said, we've got so much chaos going around. I've learned how to be happy. So I rock because I'm happy. And I
love that. Oh, thank you. And Tony says, great interview. Tony's going to be my special guest coming up soon, too. Awesome. And Renee, you just don't know. This has been absolutely phenomenal. I'm so honored to have you on, because although, I know you regard me, you just don't know how much I regard you. Because when I look at your skill set, the things that you bring to an organization and your passion, not only for the roles that you enter into, but for the people that you're surrounded, I am just in awe, and I know what you could do, and I know your capabilities, and those. Please make sure you connect with Renee. So how can they find you, Renee?
So they can find me on LinkedIn. That's the best way to find me, or they can reach me by email at Renee, RENEEJMBK@gmail.com.
Yes, make sure you connect with her out there on LinkedIn. You can continue the conversation with her in the inbox. She's a wealth of knowledge and someone to know and to connect with. So make sure, I'm always going to talk about LinkedIn, y'all. So get on LinkedIn and connect with her. That's my jam.
Exactly. And thank you. It's been an honor. It's been
Thank you. Now, for my audience, I want you to make sure you connect with me as well on LinkedIn. My name is Long Nick Willetts Berry. Copy it down. Where is it? There it is. All 12 letters. If you put in NICKQ, guess what? I'm the only one that'll pop up. And if you are catching this interview on a replay, please make sure you put hashtag replay so I know that you're out there watching it. You can catch it on all of my social media, Facebook, LinkedIn, as well as where else am I? On Periscope, which is going away soon, but I'm gonna use it as long as I can, and YouTube. And please subscribe to my YouTube channel. There's over 100 plus videos out there that will help you with your career. And you will also find, I need to name my episodes, Renee. You'll find Renee out there as well. Renee was on early on when I was doing a lot of just Facebook Live before even LinkedIn came on the scene. So you'll find the interview out there with Renee as well. So go ahead and please subscribe to that channel because you can get notifications on when I go live and you can watch it there and also the replay. And there's Ron. Hey, Ronald. And then I got Jaquetta. Hey, I'm so glad you all enjoyed the information, but please follow me and also get on my email list because I'm going to be doing something very directed toward people who follow me. And I know people are like, well, what happened to the tips that she shared? I'm moving to a different kind of platform where I am going to be sharing with just an audience who really want those tips. And so therefore it's more of a private VIP type of session. So get on my email list because I'll be announcing that very soon. So you can go to my website and download the free book, Dispelling the One-Page Resume Myth, and get on my email list, and I'll be letting you know. And it's going to be open to all of my clients and also the people who are on my list to be a part of these more intentional conversations. And also, last but not least, I am on Clubhouse. I'm not as active on Clubhouse because I like to have a strategy. I'm not one to just get on there and just start talking. So I do have a profile. Join my Clubhouse list because it will be connected to the strategy that I have developed literally a little while ago with my awesome coach Deidre, who helped me land that interview with a mompreneur. So I want you to get on my email list so you can be a part of those intent conversations where we will take this kind of conversation I had with Renee to something like Clubhouse, and then we can get more intimate and she can hear you ask her questions. So I'm developing that as well. So please get on there. She'll of course be back for that because we got some other nuggets to uncover that we can't do in 45 minutes. So please get on Clubhouse. And I know it's only for Apple users at this time, hopefully soon for Android users, but just find me at iRock Resumes. You can find me everywhere with iRock Resumes. That is my brand. That's my what I do. So make sure you're doing that. And again, Renee, thank you so much for being my special guest on another episode of iRock TV. I'm going to name this episode 2 since I'm doing iRock.tv now. So please, and if there's anyone out there who would like to be a guest on the show, go to my website, iRockResumes.com. Right at the top banner, it says be a guest on iRock TV. Fill out the information and you'll get all the information to book your slot and, for the upcoming show. So please get on my list for that. Thank you all so much. Bye, Renee.
Bye. Have a good one.
Okay. That I'm going to do my ending and you stay on for a minute, Renee.
Okay.